Hi folks, I want to make you guys this video and explain to you the reason for white supremacy. So that I know, a lot of you get stressed out about why is there white supremacy? Why does that shit gotta exist? It's so fucked up. And that's true. It's the worst thing that ever happened on the planet. So this is gonna be a condensed lesson. So just to suffice it to say that white supremacy started with the great flood of Noah, and that's what they call it in the Bible, the great flood of Noah, and it was about 10,500 BCE or so. That's basically when white supremacy started. Where did it start at? It basically started in Egypt, because that's what they took over after the flood. So, Egypt, Babylon, Greece, Minoan Crete, places like that. In Europe and stuff like that, the whites weren't as advanced as they were in other parts of the world. In Europe, they were just in caves because after the flood, there was just really no civilization in those areas, because the civilization that was there was basically the headquarters of Atlantis, which was right there in the Caribbean and right off the coast of connected to Europe, basically, mainly to Spain, and also to Ireland, and even Britannia. So white supremacy started then. Why did it start? Now here's the greatest lesson you can learn about it. White supremacy was allowed to happen on purpose because, like I said, this is a condensed lesson, because a long time ago, well over 100,000 years ago, that's people, non-whites, that's red, black, brown, and yellow, we created white people in a certain kind of way. We modified them genetically. And the genetic modification that we did on them, we shouldn't have done. And so white supremacy, so the whites became similar to us, but white people have certain strengths, and the strengths are very pronounced. And those strengths is that they're highly intelligent as a group, they're highly analytical as a group, they categorize everything, they analyze and categorize everything, and then they give everything a definition. Those are the characteristics, the main characteristics of white people. However, those are very strong strengths, because as a group, their thinking is organized. Like, you saw the movie Dances with Wolves, and Kevin Costner could have completely got away from the white people and went with Mary McDonald and the Indians up into the mountains. But what did he have to do? He had to go back to the fort first. So that's metaphorically tells you that, white people, that they called him white people, they will uphold that white system. Okay. Now, so when you create a situation like we did by modifying them genetically, we create an incredible amount of karma for ourselves, because we created them similar to us, but we created them so that they basically could not be connected to the spirit like we are. And it came back to bite us, because at a certain point they took over. And those who aren't connected to the spirit, which means they're less intelligent overall, which means they're less smart, okay, they took over. So basically intelligent stupidity took over and enslaved us. But we did it to ourselves by doing what we did to them. Okay, so you created something that's very similar to you, but then you did it right at first, like it says in the Bible. God created man's in his image, but then God destroyed them because he didn't like them, and that was where we fucked up. We should have just left them alone, because that was cool the way they were. That was no problem. But some of the people that were red, black, brown, and yellow, they didn't like the modification, because the modification was just as dynamic as people who are melanated, and they didn't like that. But that's how it should have been. That should have been okay. So, but no. So they wanted to do another modification of them, and they did, and that one came out the way that a lot of people wanted it, but it was wrong to modify them in the way it happened. So now you got white supremacy has to happen because it's karmic. It's karma for us because of what we did. So can it be gotten rid of? Well, yeah. So this is the story. So now it's white people are not indigenous to the planet Earth. They don't come from here. They come from Mars. And that's the truth. That's where they come from. And they came here about 242,000 BCE from Mars. Okay. So we modified them around 100,000 years ago, twice. Okay. And the first one was cool. The second one was a fuck up. All right. But we went with the second one. We went with that. So that gave us karma. And that was why, in an energetic sense, in a reciprocity sense of nature, and a sense of what goes around comes around. We're reaping what we sow. Okay. Now, in this whole grand scheme of things, white supremacy, it's not, the Earth is 5.6 billion years old, and we've always been here. So you gotta figure white people only been supreme for about 12,000 years. And their time is about up. But that's the program that we instituted. The program was that we had to let them act out the way that they are because we created them that way. You can't, if we were to kill them or assault them or whatever, then we create more karma and more karma and more karma, and then that would lead to stuff I don't even want to explain to you. And also, there was no demon world here until white people got here, because their consciousness is what brings the demon world. If you notice, white people have to have a god. They have to have that one God, the one God who loves us all. They have to have that. So, and that's all bullshit. See what I'm saying? There is no God. I mean, they just make it up. And then they assign it, then they just shove it down your throat. You see what I'm saying? And so what happened is that the elders of the planet, the very wise elders that are indigenous with melanated people, they came up with a program. And that program is that you have to let it play out. You have to let white supremacy play all the way out. Because at some point, the way they are is that they will be so barbaric and they will be so enslaving of other people and other words, they will be just, they'll be arrogant because they're disconnected from the spirit. And they're disconnected from the spirit because they have to have a God. If you're connected to the spirit, you don't have to worship nothing, and you don't need a fucking God. I mean, you just pay honor to whatever energy forces you want to, because the indigenous people know that the focus of energy is what we quote unquote call God. So you can focus your energy in any kind of way, any kind of creative, infinite way you want. See, but white people have to quantify it. They have to define it. They have to give it a name, give it a definition, categorize it. See. And that's destructive. That's the reason why the earth is on the verge of destruction now, because they've been in control. So what the Indian elders did was that they said, we'll create a system where they will create so much karma for themselves and they'll never be able to overcome it. And that will get rid of white supremacy. And you see that that's true because, like for instance, George Washington Carver stated, he said, if you want to understand nature, if you want to understand life, just understand nature, observe nature. And that was also a cone in ancient Kemet. They said that too. They said, if you want to understand life, study nature. So if you look at the American Indians, they have these stories of how deer and buffalo and other animals, when it was time for the hunt, those animals would just basically come up to them in the ancient past and just lay down and let them kill them. They wouldn't even have to hunt them. They would just know the Indians are ready for the Indians to eat, or they need some blankets for the winter. So these animals would just come up to them, in herds, and just lay down in front of them and let them slaughter them. See? So that's the exact same principle the Indians use. They just let the white man slaughter them, so that they would create so much karma for themselves until they cannot possibly overcome it. And you see that this is true because what are the white supremacists now doing in the final refinement stage of white supremacy? They're trying to put a black face on white supremacy so that they can hide, go into the shadows and hide. With this, Black Panther movie, oh my God, and and all this other stuff that they're letting black people be the front of everything, and so they can hide. Because their setup is economic eugenics. In other words, they keep all the money, they control all the money behind the scenes, and then there's a face of color on the face of everything. So you don't know that it's the Wizard of Oz, it's the white supremacists behind the scene pulling the strings. But so this is the last vestige of the refinement stage of the final refinement stage of white supremacy, because the white people are less than 10% on the planet. They're less than 10%, but also even though we have global white supremacy, that means that it's less than a billion of them. You see, so they know that, and they want to fortify themselves in underground bunkers and up in space, go to space stations and maybe go to other planets and shit like that. Use all this money like Trump has come up with the Space Force, because the white people know that their time is up, so they want to leave the planet, and they don't mind destroying the planet before they leave, which is why they went against the climate change accords in Paris and stuff like that, because they don't mind destroying the planet or destroying as many people of non-whites as they can before they either go underground or they go up in space. See, with the Space Force, see what I'm saying? But it's not going to work, and they know it's not going to work. But they're not going to give up. They're going to keep trying. But they know it's not going to work, because whatever Barack Obama did while he was president, he thwarted him, and they can't figure out exactly what he did, which is why they put Trump in to try to undo every single thing Barack Obama did, and they still can't figure out what he did, because what the whites would like to do is they would like to try to legally take every right that a person that's non-white has away, but they can't figure out how to legally do it in America because they want some of the rights for themselves. So that's why they just said, well, fuck it, we'll just create this oligopoly of wealth disparity, so that we're the elites. We've got all the money, we control all the money. We'll just commit economic eugenics on them. So we'll sit up in our lofty towers and then we'll just develop all these ways to kill them. With drugs, opioids, weapons, radiation, fracking, depleting the oil supply of the planet, pollution. Because if they want to be on the planet, they figure like they have to reduce the population of non-whites, because at some point we can just make them out of existence. At some point, the non-whites of the planet all wake up, and if just 1/3 of them united, there's no more white supremacy. It's over, and they know that. See, so you got black generals now in very high places. You got a black president, the most powerful man on the planet, black. Barack Obama, the greatest president in U.S. history. That drives them motherfuckers up a fucking wall. There was no greater statesman that ever lived on this planet than Barack Obama. And they know that. They're like, fuck. And they try to disparage him, and they can't. It still don't work. He was the most popular statesman in the history of Earth. See? So, That's the reason for white supremacy. And it's in the middle of two things. It's final refinement stage of power to try to maintain that power and keep it. And it's also in the final stages of being done away with. So one of them's going to happen, but it's going to be done away with because it's just unsustainable. Because they have too much karma. The universe will stop them because they have too much karma as a group. They can't. They try to have these charity organizations and philanthropy and stuff like that. Oh, that's our good works, so they can get away with all the bullshit they do. But the focus of the energy, see, that's their God. It's still money. See, it's not real. It's not rooted in what's real. The spirit is much greater than anything else. See, but you can't quantify it. You can't categorize it. You can't define it, and they would like to be able to do that, but they can't. And so, they're going to try to just commit economic eugenics on everybody, where they keep all the money for themselves, small group, and they, and they try their best to get rid of as many people as they can. But see, a lot of the elites on the planet are not white, and they also agree that the white race should be the master race. Why? Because the white race is the most easily programmable. They're the most susceptible to repetition. They're the most susceptible to having their consciousness led around by useless facts. Rudolf Steiner said that. He said that that fact-based learning makes the learner angry. And Carl Jung, the world's greatest psychiatrist, said he couldn't cure any of his European patients because on the inside they were angry, fragmented, and perverted. And he went to the Nahuatl-speaking Indians of the American Southwest, as well as the elders of the African tribes in Africa, and that's how he learned how to cure white people of being evil. See,